I am pleased to be joined by a guy who is in sports cards now, but if you're a baseball fan, you might know this guy as a former big league pitcher. He is Anthony Renato. Anthony, thanks so much for joining the show,
Dude, thank
man.
you. This is awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a formal intro. That was nice. That was good. That was good. I appreciate that.
We try to run a tight ship here,
Yeah.
you know. At least we try to, like, give the appearance that that's what we're doing.
The appearance is flawless. You're killing that. Yeah,
Well,
we're checking all those boxes for sure.
But I was saying, like, yeah, we had, like, these mics were a lifesaver because, like, we were right by the PSA here, and, like, you probably have already heard it. It's like, it's that shrill, like, all of our, there it was right there.
Yeah.
All of our listeners are like,
mode.
man,
Yeah.
great content, but, like, that thing is, like, piercing my ears. So, like, this is, like, isolating a little better.
Yeah.
So it's good, man.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
things are good.
Yep.
So you just got in. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Well, I flew into New Jersey or Philadelphia on Wednesday. But I'm from New Jersey originally, so I had to check the boxes, go see the family. We did some Italian food cooking or eating, you know,
Nice.
and I have a couple employees with me or coworkers with Cards and Culture, and so I gave them a little taste of Jersey. And then we went up to New York actually and watched the Yankee game last night.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So you got to see the judge walk.
Dude, it was unbelievable. And so DJ LeMahieu was one of my best friends, so he left us some field passes. We went down there, did that thing. And then, I actually called the walk-off, too. We filmed it, everything. I knew it was going to happen.
It's incredible that guy, I mean, obviously one of the most prolific power hitters of this generation, and yet, like, going into this season, not a single walk-off home run. And now he's at 3, right?
Yeah, 3. And I think he's got a couple other walk-off hits, too. Like,
Right.
just like, crazy that he never did that.
Yeah. You grew up a Yankees fan, I'm
Yes.
assuming? Okay.
Yes.
So I got to ask you, I feel like, where are you at with where's Judge landing? Like, how are you going to feel if he leaves?
I'm going to be disappointed. I want to see, like, he's just one of those things I think – I don't know. I feel like he's the storybook. You were drafted by the Yankees. He's going to win. I think he already won the MVP, that one year that he had.
Yeah.
He's going to win it this year. Hopefully they win a World Series, that kind of stuff. So storybook-wise and a kid that grew up in New Jersey, I definitely would love to see it happen, But who knows? I'd love to see him test the water and maybe break some free agency records and stuff. And so we'll see.
I mean, it sounds like he's definitely going to try to. I mean, rumors are floating around, but it's like the Yankees offer him like 31 to 32 million average. He's looking for like 35 to 36. And hey, man, when you hit like the way he's playing right now,
how can you argue it?
You can't argue.
You
it.
can't.
You really can't.
You got to pay the man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, full discretion, I'm a Giants fan.
I was going to ask, okay, because you're from the Bay Area?
Yeah, from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's, like, laying these hints here and there, like I think there was an interview, he's, like, got a Buster Posey jersey behind him. He talked about how much he loved playing with Dusty Baker in the All-Star game because he grew up a Giants fan. So I'm like, okay, I really don't want to get my hopes up, but
getting excited.
He's laying the foundation right now, and we'll just leave it at that.
They've paid for some big free agents in the past, it could happen. I would love to see it.
Yeah, it would be incredible. Let's talk about your journey into sports cards. So obviously you start as a big league pitcher, a few years in the bigs, and you leave that. And what then spurred that to that move into this world?
Well, originally, I mean. It honestly started in 2017-18. My dad sold my house that I grew up in. I had just finished baseball, so I was kind of like just in limbo, not really knowing what to do. I was doing baseball lessons, doing all that stuff. And then I started a podcast, and the podcast was kind of interesting to me because I was meeting entrepreneurs, investors, business people, former athletes, that kind of stuff. Kept me in the game a little bit. Wound up starting a gym, and I had a gym in town. Like I bought into a franchise, and then COVID hit as soon as we opened the gym. And just to make a little extra money and keep myself busy, I started flipping basketball cards, and that was when the market exploded, Last Dance stuff. So I was like, man, this is kind of fun. And I took all the profits and just started a business and was like, I'm going to take these profits, put them into this business, like start a business, have it a business account. One thing led to another, started selling art, sneakers, things on the website, and I was just like, man, we got a little thing going here, and I got the podcast. So like, what if I created a really cool space where it could be dual purpose for experiences, kind of change the game a little bit of the association of the way collectible shops traditionally looked, and at least in my area and stuff like that. And so I just saw an opportunity, and like I said, it was during COVID, so I'm in a prime location in Baton Rouge. We don't have a lot of foot traffic area, walking malls, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I'm there in the one spot in town, and it's like higher demographic stuff. So it just fit the mold, and that's kind of what led me there, yeah.
That's been one of the coolest things, I feel like, in this like blow up in the hobby last few years is the shops, like, from when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we've all got, like, my shop was this like really dingy, like the lighting was bad.
Smelled funny.
The owner had a really like a very noticeable bad wet toupee. Like, and that's where I went like every week to buy whatever it was, Pokemon cards or baseball cards or whatever. Yeah. And it's just so cool that like this young generation now, like you're part of that, and like we've got a shop too. Like it's inviting people into these spaces where it's just like stay, hang out for a while, rip some cards, like whatever it may be. It's just like, and you kind of have to do that to keep up in this world where it's just like it's all about, it's more than just the product you're delivering. It's about the personality behind it. Like it's so much different.
And for me too, and you're saying it was about connection, right? Like I got to play at LSU from New Jersey. The fan, I played ball all over the world. I got to play in Korea, Japan, different things like that, right? The fans at LSU were different than anywhere else I played. So it was like one of those things. I wanted to give back to a community that gave me my start, and my opportunity in life. And when kids walk in the door and I get to tell them I played in the major leagues, looking at my jerseys, gloves, and we're just talking for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even if they don't buy anything, they walk out of there with a positive experience. They met a major leaguer, maybe signed something, or maybe their dad watched me at LSU, because it's I'm getting so old that it's coming around now that they have kids and everything, guys that I went to college with and everything. So, but it's fun. That's where I get to connect and kind of, share some of my experiences. And that to me is what like made my career worthwhile, and I didn't have an ultra successful career on the field, in the major leagues. I think it was successful and I had a great start in my life, but that's what it's about, being able to connect with the youth and pass on my knowledge and experience, and hopefully they get to learn from me and grow with me too.
Exactly, make it worthwhile. And hell, you're still part of that 1%.
Exactly.
That's always how you look at it. Cards and Culture, of course, is the name. I want to go back to your big league career for a second. When you were in the bigs, were there? I mean, it's such a different beast now from back when you were playing, but like, were there collectors among the players? Like, were players collecting as much, or is that kind of like, because obviously like Matt Strom is like a big name, not just on the field, but like in this hobby is such a big name now of what he's built. Were there guys like that in the big leagues at that time? What's
funny is no, I don't think so. Not that I saw, at least. And it was like kind of like wasn't cool, right? It was like almost taboo. And this is where I saw an opportunity in this industry, because there was such a stigma with athletes where they were like, oh, that's a collector. He's just trying to get my autograph and sell it, right? So I was like, how can we create this where it's a better experience for the athlete, where they enjoy this too, So no, I didn't see it as much, and I actually stopped collecting cards because of that a little bit, and it was weird that people were asking for my autograph. I was signing the cards that I was collecting, So I actually transitioned into sneakers, and I was like buying and selling sneakers a little bit in pro ball as my collecting fix, type thing. But I wish there was guys, man. I wish, and it would have been cool to do that. While I was playing and everything too, like it just would have been so cool. So, but no, unfortunately, I didn't really see it too much.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, especially like the environment was such a different beast. Like, I guess I should ask is like, is there like maybe even the awkwardness of like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like, I know all the stories behind this guy. Like, pulling like a card that like I'd be freaking out over. Like, I got this guy's first Bowman. It's like, I know stories about that guy. Like, whatever.
I think that's the cool part about the hobby, right? Is like if people are in it, they get to talk about those guys and share those things, right? So sometimes when I'm breaking baseball, I'm like, hey guys, we're breaking 2014 cards so I can tell stories. Just exactly what you said.
That's
like,
awesome.
Dude, this was my teammate. Let me tell you a funny story about him, And when people get to listen, maybe they're not breaking, but you know what I'm saying? They're just getting some cool knowledge, hearing something different. And then when they do want to break, maybe they come into ours, and like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's been a cool journey so far for sure.
Yeah. What do you find yourself gravitating to the most right now of the sports? Or it may not even be sports if it's like Pokemon or something else.
I love vintage Pokemon. That's I would say number one for me is probably that. Number two, it's 1A, 1B type thing. Basketball, I swear to God, I love basketball. It was my favorite sport growing up. I just happened to be better at baseball and fell in love with baseball along the way, you know, and really fell in love with the intricacies of the sport and the pitcher, catcher, hitter, psychology, that kind of stuff. But basketball has always been my first love. And to me, that's what got me back into the hobby was watching basketball and being like, and I was playing a lot of 2K, right? So you can kind of know when guys are going to be budding superstars. And I was like, man, I would love to invest in it. And cards were a way to kind of invest in young players' careers of like, I think this guy's going to take off. And when Ja and Zion came out, that's when I really, really got into it because everybody was buying Zion, but I'm like, Ja's my guy. Like, I love Ja. So like, that's what really kind of got me back into the hobby, being like, I feeling like I was doing something that other people weren't, and trying to make money that way. And now it's been really fun for me selling some of those cards and making some returns and stuff.
That Ja and Zion debate, it's still like shocking to me. It's kind of started to come around, but like, it still kind of feels like Ja has gone up and Zion hasn't gone down so much, and now they're almost like even at this point, which God, considering everything Ja has accomplished in, 3 years,
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me at all that Ja and Zion are basically on equal footing in this hobby. And, we've had conspiracy theories as to why. A lot of people got a lot of money invested in Zion. So, hey, it's, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think Zion's still,
I
an
agree.
incredible talent.
I believe in Zion. But it is funny what you say. Imagine if Zion was doing what or has accomplished.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine what his market would be like?
Oh, my God.
It would be absolutely ridiculous.
There would be almost no comparison.
Exactly.
That's what he would do right now. Let's talk about your international time.
Yeah.
I want to get to know about this because
Yes.
I'm really intrigued about the idea of trying to find something different for as a baseball collector. Before the season started, me and a coworker were looking at Seiya Suzuki, and we're like, where do you get Seiya cards?
Yeah.
There's still nothing out there right now for his rookie stuff.
Yep.
But there are Topps is actually starting to get a little heavier into the Japanese leagues right now. You play in the KBO.
Yep.
Do you think there's a big future with baseball collectors? Maybe obviously not as big as what we're seeing right now, but I'm just really intrigued of what the international market, especially in baseball, I think more than any other sport, maybe in basketball as well with some EuroLeague stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Investing maybe an alternate investment in some of those Japanese, Korean leagues, stuff like that.
It's extremely interesting to me,
Yeah.
and I can see a future where that is a huge role. And depending on what Fanatics does coming in, and how they want to expand, I think that's an opportunity to expand more globally. Really, Asian culture loves baseball, loves their baseball. When I went over there, it was one of the most fun times in my career. I was absolutely awful throwing the baseball, so that took away from the experience a little bit. But other than that, it was incredible. The fans were awesome. The people were awesome. My translator and the teammates were absolutely incredible. And like I said, just the love and affinity for the game and the respect. So I do think that if Topps or whoever wants to come in and really invest in that market, I do think that we would see a nice return on it. And I think it would be a cool pop. And I think, too, like I said, with digital currency and crypto and different things, the way that Asian culture adapts and innovates, I think that it would be really interesting as NFTs and digital collectibles expand to see how that market reacts to it.
Yeah, it's just the Asian market, I think, especially for big releases, we're seeing it more and more now because they're just ripping stuff first.
Yep.
In general, there's some of the huge hits are coming out of China and they're coming out of in the Pacific region basically. Yep. So, yeah, I think that's kind of an untapped market to keep an eye on, especially with Shohei stuff, that's the stuff that I keep an eye on. That's that would be really intriguing.
Absolutely, I think it's cool just to have different stuff. That's not MLB licensed, but it has great value. For real, and with great players too.
Yeah, there's always a place.
Yep.
for all these different types of products. Playing in Korea. Yeah, if you want, you kind of touched on it a little bit, just the differences, the things you took away from it, in general, how does it compare? The fan bases, the passion and the excitement, how does it compare to playing in the big leagues and the types of fan bases you see in America?
What I love about there was none of this that's an unwritten rule type stuff. There was I'm warming up throwing the first pitch of the game, and there's a forklift going up with a DJ with a mic, and he's dancing, and they got cheerleaders on the dugout. I'm like in my delivery, I'm like, should that be playing? And I'm throwing pitches, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing this. So that kind of stuff. They're just making noise. It's loud. It's fun. They're dancing. So that kind of stuff was really cool to see. Just their fan engagement, how much they love their teams over there, how much they love baseball. And then ready for this one? Smoke breaks in the 5th inning. We literally, it was a timeout, a halftime.
Yeah.
And all the coaches and players would just go to the clubhouse and smoke heaters. And they would just sit there, and they wouldn't even talk. They would just sit there with their legs crossed and just sit there, smoke heaters. And I'm like, what's going on?
So Korea baseball is simultaneously in the year 2050 and also in the year 1970.
Exactly. A little bit of both. A little combo of everything, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Still smoking heaters. Dude, it's unbelievable. But that was one of the crazy things. And then I would say, just the quality of play. Defensively was a little less than here, the quality of defense. So there's a lot more runs given up and hits. Everybody's like, oh, it's an offensive league. I'm like, yeah, because that ball is caught in the gap in the MLB, right? And then guy takes too long, double clutches, infield single. It's not a single, it's an error. That should be a play. You know what I'm saying? Little things like that. And then managers are ultra involved and overmanage where they make defensive plays in the middle of an at-bat. So games are super long. I'm not even kidding, man.
Jeez.
7th inning. Manager calls timeout, makes a defensive sub and takes the right fielder out, puts somebody else in 2-2 count. Next play makes a diving play. Like, I was like, I remember that happened one time. That was like, I was like, all right, well, at least that worked, you know. But half the time, it's just like, why did we do that? You just wasted 5 minutes, and you do that 5 times a game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then we have smoke breaks.
Are
like
the rules different about, like, if, like, the player can't come back in like traditional baseball, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
he's out.
just making sure.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just so trippy to be like, hold up, timeout. Like, I need the right fielder out. Go ahead and run out there. I'm like, what is happening?
I mean, when
now?
they make the diving catch, exactly, you burn a player and like,
it was kind of cool to watch that one play, but that was about it. Where I was like, okay, that's cool, like to watch that, but that didn't happen all the time.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Gosh, that's wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
Hey, it's it just speaks to, like, you know, it's incredible to see what's going on with baseball. Like, so many. I think there's just so many folks kind of like. It's the old tired argument of like, baseball, whatever, no big deal. But I think it's what gets neglected is like what is happening internationally in the sport is as exciting as, to me, like close to like the NBA level of like there's just so much excitement outside of this country, which is why I love things like the World Baseball Classic. When it comes around, you really get a sense of like, oh, this is a big deal in Latin countries and Asian countries and stuff like that. For this show, plans for the show, what do you got going on?
So like I told you earlier, so one of my coworkers is Kylie Maris. Her grandfather is Roger Maris. So as a little gift for her dad, they have a bunch of rookie cards, signed cards with his autograph on it. So she might even be in line right here to go get them authenticated. We're going to do something like that. And we're just buying, selling, trading, just meeting people, networking, that kind of stuff.
I got to ask Kylie after this, how does she feel about the fact that Judge right now might be passing Roger Maris? Like, that's got to be very conflicting at this point, right? It is, yeah. And we kind of, joke with her, rag on her a little bit, and be like, oh, he's doing it, he's catching, And I think she's okay with it. I think she likes she understands records are meant to be broken. I think she likes Aaron Judge a lot, and he's a quality guy. Like, if somebody's going to do it, like, that's a great guy to do it. Great role model, face of the game. So I think she's okay with it. Yeah. And she was like, and anyway, he's a righty. Roger will still have the lefty home run record. As long as he's got something.
Yeah, exactly.
We're good.
There's a little asterisk there still.
Exactly. Anything you are personally seeking out at the show here?
Actually, I'm going to collect some. So since I got connected with her, we're actually going to put together the 1961 top set. So I'm just going to look for a bunch of 61 tops around here this week. So that'll be cool.
That is so cool.
And then just honestly just networking and meeting new people. I'm going to do I have a podcast of my own, so I'm just going to go around and people that have been super nice to me in the hobby that have educated me, helped me, I'm going to have them on my show and just talk and try to give them some love and that kind of stuff. So.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. I haven't seen a ton of Pokemon. I know you mentioned Pokemon too. Any Pokemon that you're looking for?
Nothing specific. I actually got a great Pokemon dealer back. He's the kid that lives in Baton Rouge, and he's just a hustler, and so he actually buys great cards, and he'll come and sell them to me at great prices. So honestly, he's a great dealer for me. And I wanted to focus more on some sports cards while I was here and networking and just kind of hanging out with everybody around the hobby.
That's a good call. Yeah, Pokemon is, man. That's, as a guy who probably also, like, I think anyone around our age is like, that's how we first all got into this thing.
Exactly.
And it goes from there. But yeah, it was all about like bringing the Pokemon cards to school. What do you got? What do you got? And then of course the school catching on and banning the Pokemon cards. I swear to God, my school. My elementary school has probably got a stash of Pokemon cards collecting dust somewhere. Yeah. There's probably a Charizard in there worth like
some good stuff.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So
in lost and found.
Yeah, it's going to the kids. So
there we go.
It's all good. So, all right. Before I let you go, I do want to kind of get some fast reactions. The trade deadline for baseball is a week away. Yep. Today alone has been like, I just like have to take a step back because there's just so much going on. I can't remember a trade deadline with this much potential for just absolutely bonkers moves. I guess, first of all, like as a player, what was that feeling approaching the trade deadline? Like, what did it feel like in the clubhouse, I guess, on both sides, if you were winning or if you were on a losing team?
That's a great question. I think I have a lot of different perspectives on it, too, because I was fortunate enough to be a top prospect in the minor leagues, so, like, my first 2 or 3 years of pro ball, every trade deadline, it was like my name was in the mix because the Red Sox were going for it, right? Yeah. So it was like, do they give up their top prospects, in a package to go get somebody? So I was on that perspective of it, like, man, it would be cool to go to a new team and, like, like maybe shoot up a little quicker because the Red Sox have all these big free agents. But then I was like, man, I really kind of want to stay here. I love the Red Sox,
It's a great organization.
Exactly. So it was like I had that weird perspective. Then when I got to the major leagues, I wasn't really good enough to be a chip at the end of the trade deadline.
Right.
I wound up getting traded twice in the big leagues, which was kind of crazy. But I never was like in talks and stuff like that. I just got to see a lot of my friends get affected by that, teammates, things like that. So that was a little different for me. And then specifically, I got to make my debut because of the trade deadline. 2014, the Red Sox did a fire sale, and John Lackey got traded. I got to make his start, and that gave me my thing. So I have a unique relationship with the trade deadline, but I do feel for a lot of guys that are just on the cusp and trying to figure out what they're doing, or leaving a team that they've been with for 8 years, or something like that. So just it's a crazy time. It really is.
Yeah, and I know it kind of from a different sport, but like seeing all these Kevin Durant rumors right now, I think I've seen Jaylen Brown thrown into every single Celtics rumor ever.
I heard he's salty too.
Yeah, I mean, he put on Twitter like, shake my head, like, why am I always in this, man? Like, let me live. Yeah. And I get it. Like, it gets annoying.
Exactly.
Like, like being in that position as like a prospect, like you said, is almost the more crazy thing, instead of being like maybe the Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani, where it's like, well, if I get traded, like, I'm going to a good spot.
Contender,
So that could definitely, I could see, just eat away at you after a while.
And then too, yesterday, so DJ left us some field passes and stuff, so we were down there for BP. And I played with Joey Gallo for a while, so he saw me from across the way, and he's like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" So I was just, BSing with him a little bit, and I was like, "How you doing, dude?" And he's like, "I'm good. I think I'm gonna get traded though." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "But that might be good for you, dude." And he was like, "Yes." He was like, "You know how it is in New York. If you don't perform, they hate you." He's like, "So it would be a good fresh start." I'm like, "Exactly. You don't want to leave a contender and maybe the best team in the game, but you want to play the game for a long time, do what's best for you, and that kind of stuff too."
So there's a lot of truth to that. I feel like as like commentators are always like, they need a change of scenery. They really need that. But there really is a lot of truth to that.
Huge truth to that. Even me too. Like when I was at the Rangers, I was just in a toxic place. Like I wasn't good mentally on my own, right? And then it was just, I wasn't performing. I needed to get out of there. Like it was just, I didn't fit in with a lot of the guys. Like it just didn't work for me. And as soon as I got to Chicago, it was like, I can't believe how different this experience is, and it was night and day. So it really is. It's nice to have a fresh start sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of those. Like I said, I was going to grill you on some of those plays.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Juan Soto, man, I saw the package that apparently the Padres were offering.
Well, I didn't hear.
Okay, so I think it's, from what I saw, C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, and at least 2 other prospects.
But I heard that the Nationals are going to make an offer, though.
Yeah.
One more offer.
The latest was the Nats are going to make an offer, and if he rejects it,
right,
trade
we're going for it. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a little tactical move by them a little bit to be like, hey, man, you want to stay here or sign? Or like?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And especially because, like, they're in such a weird place right now because they've got – it sounds like they're going to get new ownership in a couple of years here.
Yep.
Who wants to buy a team that doesn't have Juan Soto that just had Juan Soto?
That's an asset that they need. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, especially because they're already in rebuild mode, and I don't know. Maybe they just see it as like, we tried to do this rebuild thing, and this guy, and to his credit, doesn't have the patience for it. Like I'm in my prime right now. Like I want to win now, so I don't blame him. But if you're a collector of Juan Soto, where would you want Juan Soto to go?
There was a rumor that I heard of him going to New York at one point.
It's apparently he wants to go to the Nets. I don't know how true that is, but I guess his agent kind of leaked it out. Like he wouldn't mind going.
Right.
Or Boras, I think. Of course.
Exactly.
Very cryptic. Scott Boras,
He's very
cryptic.
strategic and tactical too. The way he says things, even it's so crazy.
Always has a good line going into the winter meetings, or like the state of the game with Scott Boras. I mean, it's for better or worse, it's must-see TV.
Exactly. So I don't know. I would love to see him. I mean, I'd like to see him in a big market. That's what, in a big city that's contending in the postseason. He was so electric a couple years ago in the postseason, just as a young kid. So now it would be nice to see him a little bit more mature and older and stronger, to see how he performs on the big stage. So I don't know, but San Diego would be kind of cool too, that lineup, and that would make them a heavy player against the Dodgers.
Oh my God! I mean, him and Tatis is getting healthy. Machado,
scary.
That would be
scary.
That's probably your best middle of the order in baseball.
And then Hosmer is a good hitter. He's just not having a great year, or like super productive, but he's a stud, and he performs in the postseason too. Absolutely. Dude, I would be excited to see him to go to San Diego. That would be kind of cool.
Cronenworth, the pitching's there. It'd be a scary thought. It'd be a really scary thought. How about Shohei though? Let me put it to you this way. Just talk about Soto. If you're a GM, would you rather get Soto for about 2 years here, or would you rather get Shohei for about, a year and a half? But if you got all that time to negotiate, which of those two is it? A more obvious choice than I'm even thinking, or
to me it is. It's a no-brainer that I want Shohei. No doubt. I'm like weirdly obsessed with that dude. Like it's.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's more just a fascination. You're just like, and what I love about sports is we don't even realize what we're witnessing right now. We talk about it, but we're gonna look back and be like, the things that he was doing, we didn't even. It was like Steph Curry in 2015, right? Like we're just like, oh, this is going to be Steph for the rest of our lives, and we're going to see this forever. And it's like, no, what he was doing was ridiculous, and that's what I'm appreciating it so much every day. What he's doing, it's impressive.
It's so incredible what's happening, and yet he's probably not going to win the MVP because you know what?
That's crazy.
You know what's going to happen with him is he's going to keep doing this for the next like 5 years probably if he stays healthy. And it's going to be like what happened to Bonds, where it's just like, are we really going to give it to Barry Bonds again?
Exactly.
We keep giving it to this guy. And I fear that's what's going to happen with Shohei. But, God, just the thought that he could even get dealt right now.
That's crazy. But maybe he gets dealt to somebody and then performs down the stretch, and maybe he's on a contender and he wins that MVP, you know?
Yeah,
because I don't know. We'll see, but
yeah,
that's crazy.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
God, it's going to be absolutely incredible trade deadline. I can't wait for it.
I'm buckled up. I'm ready. Got my popcorn.
Yeah. Last one I got to ask you. I always try to ask people, like, what's like the crown jewel of your collections? If you had to basically keep one card from your personal collection right now, what would it be?
That's tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw an answer out there that is, it's not a crazy valuable card, but it's a meaningful card to me, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? When I was a kid, my dad had an office at the house, right? And so he had a Ken Griffey Jr. Donruss Kings, 1993 Donruss Kings. Ken Griffey Jr. was like one of the art ones in Diamond Kings. It's not an expensive card at all, just a cool card, and it was in a case, a screw case, you know, and I always went to go, don't touch it, that's mine, don't even look at it, you know. When he brought my collection down, he was like, you can finally have this now. And I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. So I went and got it graded and got an 8.5 from SGC, but it's a great piece in our store. It looks cool, and it's so meaningful to me. So I don't think I would ever sell that card just because it has so much sentimental value.
And that is exactly the correct answer. I feel like with anybody, it's not like it's my Luka, this one, blah blah blah. It's like, no, it's the one that probably got you into it, and like, what is this thing? What is, you know? And that's awesome to hear. So, Anthony, thank you so much. Let the people know, where can we find you, the shop, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I got a shop in Baton Rouge called Cards and Culture. You can check us out online. Our website's cardsandculture.com. All our social media is Cards and Culture. Keep it simple. And I'm Anthony Renato. So Anthony _RANAUDO. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. TikTok. I'm starting TikTok. Can't believe I'm saying that.
I know. We're behind on the TikTok thing too.
Oh,
don't
behind, but yeah.
There's a part of me I'm like, I can't do it, even though, like, you know, I already feel like I'll just be the old man on TikTok.
Exactly.
Like, that would be weird, but
I feel like then I'm my dad when phones came out and stuff, you know, and he's like, I can't do this, and like, I'm like, I gotta learn, I gotta adapt.
I made a rule. I was like, once I hit 30. Whatever social media I'm on, that's it.
That's it.
So we're 2 years past it, so
it's over.
It's over now. So, Anthony, thanks so much.
Dude, this was awesome. Thank you.
It.
Yeah.